This is crazy. This is crazy. This is crazy.
Everywhere you turn, it's the same old sports talk, the same headlines, the same news, and the same boring information. This podcast is here to change all of that. We bring you hot sports takes, winning sports betting strategy and picks, reliable gaming industry news, and breaking interviews with some of the biggest names in sports business. My name is Ryan Newpel, and welcome to the Noop Sports Show.
Hello again, everyone, and it's week 6 of college football. You're listening to Noop Sports, college football podcast. This is Tom, along with Rodney, and we're going to help you make money on sports. Be sure to follow us online at Noop Sports. That's K-N-U-P Sports. Follow us on Facebook, where we have a lot more research. We go into detail, and you can also follow us on Twitter. Hey, Rodney, week 6. Got to get excited.
Yeah, I'm ready for it. And then now we get a Wednesday. We get some Wednesday games, and we're coming up on the time of year when we're going to start getting some Tuesday games. So football year-round's coming up.
Oh, yes, it is. And let's get started with that, by the way. Wednesday night, we have Arkansas State and Georgia Southern, and that's at Jonesboro, Arkansas. -7.5 for the Red Wolves. I'm sorry, for the Eagles of Georgia Southern.
The Red Wolves have been good before, but boy, they're not very good this year. They're 0-4 on the season, and so that's a situation where are they going to find a chance to win? I mean, they've been beat by about 40 against Auburn. They lost by 14 at Utah State. They were competitive last week. I do like the 7.5. I'm not sure Georgia Southern is good enough to blow them out. I think Georgia Southern wins this game on the road, but I think Arkansas State can cover this plus 7.5 tonight.
Well, I think one of the problems for Arkansas State is they only average like 16.5 points a game, and they hold their opponents to like 30.
Yeah, they are 124th in the country in scoring. That's not very good, 16.8 points a game. So, I mean, they are giving up 36 a game. This is probably just about they played Auburn, Toledo, and Utah State. All three teams are better than Georgia Southern. And then, of course, last week's game, they lost 28-23. So I do think they'll become closer to the norm, that they're a little bit better than their record. So I think they'll cover the spread, but I do not think they'll win at home.
I think they're going to cover the spread, too. I think that if people who watch the game are going to be going to like the contrast, because Arkansas State likes to pass the ball, 273 yards average passing the ball. Georgia Southern 317 rushing. I mean, that's a contrast. Yeah,
it is, and it's a battle of wills. Which will is going to come through? The passing offense or the rushing offense. I mean, I say that I think Georgia Southern will go and win this game, but I wouldn't be terribly surprised if Arkansas State found a way to win, and I do really like them to cover the spread, though.
Well, we got 2 Thursday night games coming up. Temple at Memphis. Memphis is a 10-point favorite, and I kind of think they're going to be able to continue their streak here.
Yeah, they score a lot of points. I mean, they're a 10-point favorite. About 66% of the country likes them. They're 3-1 on the season. Their only loss coming to Ole Miss. They give up 48 points in that game. But if you look at the games Memphis has won, they scored 77, 43, and 35. I mean, Memphis is 6th best in the country in scoring. Temple has never really been an offensive team. I'm pulling up their statistics now, but Temple, I'm not sure they're going to be able to keep up offensively. They are coming off 2 straight wins. They are scoring 45 and 48 their last 2 games, but I look for Temple to really struggle. Only 200 passing yards, 150 rushing yards. Memphis is going to outscore them. I look for like a 40-24 type game here. I think Memphis wins and covers this game at the Liberty Bowl in Memphis.
Well, it's not a reason to bet them, but the public is 60% in on Memphis.
Yeah. I mean, it's. I think a lot of people like Memphis in this game. I just think too much scoring on the Tiger side and too much lack of scoring on the Owl side. Memphis 3-1, Temple 3-2. I like Memphis -10 here. I'm comfortable with the 10 points.
Yeah, I'm going with Memphis on that one too. The other one on Thursday night, Western Kentucky at Louisiana Tech. They're 2-0 at home, but Western Kentucky's a 3-point favorite.
Yeah, Western Kentucky. You know what? Western Kentucky's not nearly as good as they were last year. I mean, remember last year they were one of the darlings of the small schools, whatever you call them, the non-Power 5. They were pretty decent last year, but they've had some changes. This totals 68 points. That's a lot. Louisiana Tech, like you said, is 2-3 overall. I do think Louisiana Tech wins this game. It's a 3-point spread, 2.5-point spread. That's not very many. I think if you were really wanting to bet this game, you could do a money line type situation because I do think that they have the ability to win this game. Like you said, they're 2-0 at home. Now, they have beat South Carolina State and UTEP, not great programs. They competed at Arkansas. They really competed at Texas Tech. So, I mean, Louisiana Tech, a team that's competed fairly well this season. Western Kentucky on the other side, the Hilltoppers. Again, they lost some of their key players from last year. Of course, the tight end Higbee's in the NFL. So they lost 38-10 to Alabama. They lost 31-30 to Vanderbilt. I actually think the home team prevails here. I'll take Louisiana Tech plus 2.5 or 3, but I'm going to take it money line. I'm going to take Louisiana Tech.
Yeah, you just took what I was going to say here at the end. I think Louisiana Tech's going to cover this game. They are 2-0 at home. I think it's their game to win.
Yeah, I think so too. This is one of those situations where don't bet on Western Kentucky just because of their past.
That's a good point. Let's look at some of the bigger games of the week. We have Alabama at Arkansas. Let me give you some numbers before we jump in here. First of all, last I saw the line was Alabama minus 14. Offense, Alabama, 44 points a game, 13th in the nation. Arkansas, 36 points. Defensively, Alabama allows 13 points, 9th best in the country. Arkansas allows 23. 14-point line. We have Jalen Hunt and Austin Allen going as quarterback.
Yeah, 14 points is quite a bit. I mean, especially if you could you could wait and grab that at 14.5 or 15. I mean, Arkansas is not bad. I mean, this is 50-50 in the betting world on who you're betting on. I mean, right at 50-50. And Alabama's one of those teams where, they always seem like, I don't know if they can cover that big of a spread, and they always find a way to do so. So this is a little bit of a scary game. Now, keep in mind, Arkansas's lone loss was actually kind of a blowout. They got blown out by Texas A&M at home. Well, this is a better Alabama team coming in there. I will stay away from this game. I kind of choose just to stay away from most Alabama games this season. But if I had to go somewhere, I think Alabama would probably cover the spread, but I'm staying away. This is a tricky game for me.
I'm going with Arkansas to cover. I just think they have, enough offense that they're going to be able to pound the ball a little bit more at Alabama than some other teams.
Yeah, every time I seem to do that, they're up 10 with about 2 minutes to go, and Arkansas will throw a pick six, and it'll be a 17-point game. That seems to happen a lot with Alabama. Alabama's really, really good, and I know Arkansas is good, ranked 17th in the country in most polls. Again, I'll stay away. I mean, if you really like Arkansas, I say go with Arkansas. But it's going to be an interesting game.
Well, Alabama has 2 of the best coaches on their staff.
Yeah. I mean, Kiffin's a good coach. He really struggles. He really struggles as a head coach with too much power. And I think this has really fit him a very very nice role for him in a good program. I look for him to go after this year. I mean, there's going to be some openings like maybe LSU and talk of Texas. Yeah, I don't know if Kiffin will get any of those or not. I see he's going to get another chance somewhere along the way. They're saying this could be the biggest coaching carousel of all time in college football this season. I mean, if you look at it, some of the top programs, like you said, LSU, Texas, probably USC, 3 of the better programs in all the country are going to be open. So, Lane Kiffin will have the opportunity. I just think he really struggles with all the power as a head coach, but he's a really, really good offensive coordinator. Yes, he is. Well, I've been touting Tennessee from the very beginning, but when they went into overtime in their opening game, I kind of walked away from them, but I'm beginning to come back. Tennessee takes on A&M. I like Tennessee. Yeah, I don't know, man. Texas A&M's been awfully good as well. I mean, this is probably one of the best games of the weekend at Kyle Field there in College Station. Texas A&M's just kind of quietly winning games fairly easily. I mean, they won by 7 in their opener against UCLA, but they haven't been close since then. I mean, they beat Auburn by 2 touchdowns. They beat Arkansas by 3 touchdowns. They beat South Carolina on the road. I think I'm going South Carolina. Tennessee's running into some pretty good magic. I mean, you look at that week 1 game. You look at last week. They should have lost that one. 7 points, especially if I can get it where it opened at 6.5 or even 6. I'm actually going against you. I think I got Texas A&M at home. That's a tough place to play. I like Texas A&M. Well, it depends on whether Tennessee can stop Travion Knight. I mean, he's a good running back. He is, and Texas A&M's got several weapons. I mean, this is a program that's needed to really emerge at the top. I mean, of course, Johnny Manziel's years, they were talked about a lot, but really fell short several times. And Texas A&M feels like they have an opportunity to maybe get in as one of the Final Four teams out of the SEC. I mean, it is the SEC. And, obviously you're going to have to go through the Alabamas of the world. But if Texas A&M wants to emerge as the next level, they have to, of course, come away with the win this game. And that being at home, I think, gives them quite an advantage. I like Texas A&M.
Well, we have a battle in Florida. I guess it'll be after the storm goes through. But Florida State and Miami at Miami, kind of like the Hurricanes. I hate to say the word, but I kind of like Hurricanes at home on this one. They have I think they're -3. Florida State's been disappointing. Yeah,
and of course keep your eye on this game because they've already talked about maybe not playing it or moving it, or I wouldn't be surprised if maybe this moves to a Monday game. The store passes by Monday possibly, and they decide to play this on Monday. But both these programs are used to this type of weather. If it is a weather concern, I can't imagine anybody favors over the other. I mean, both these programs have seen this before. I also will go with you on Miami. Really disappointed in Florida State. This is a primetime game, so you would think Jimbo Fisher would have his team ready. Keep in mind, Jimbo Fisher loses this game and falls to 3-3. We could be seeing a hot seat in Florida State. I mean, the way some of these crazy boosters are, 3-3 with Clemson coming up, with Florida coming up. I mean, you're looking at a team that could lose 4 or 5 games. So I think I'm favoring Miami. Now, Miami's schedule has been pretty weak. They really haven't beat anybody. But I think I'm sold on the Hurricanes. Mark Richt done a really nice job down there. I think I'm going with Miami. 2 or 3 or whatever it is. The home field wins this game.
Well, Florida State's been touting their freshman quarterback. He had 372 yards last week, but he's not getting the job done.
Well, and they're not playing very good defense. I mean, you keep in mind they gave up about 70 points to Louisville, and I know Louisville can really score. And I think Miami should be able to score. I mean, Brad Kaya, just shy of 1,000 yards on the season. Mark Walton has been terrific, 445 yards, 8 touchdowns as a running back. I mean, again, Miami's beaten 2 teams out of the state of Florida that aren't very good. They beat Appalachian State on the road. They beat Georgia Tech on the road. We'll see. This is a huge test for Miami. If you look at Miami's schedule, Florida State, North Carolina, Virginia Tech, Notre Dame in their next 4 games. So we'll really find out what the Hurricanes are made of here these next 4 weeks.
Well, sticking with Florida, we have Florida and LSU. I kind of like LSU to win kind of easily on this one.
Yeah, I think so too. I think they're Florida just doesn't score enough for my likings. I mean, I think LSU is going to score. Fournette's going to get an opportunity. Obviously they're talking like he's going to play in this game. LSU's got to be a little irritated, a little ticked off. They're not going to a national championship like they thought they would. 3-point spread doesn't seem like very many. Now it is in Florida. I just don't know if Florida scores enough.
Right.
I've said that all along. I really think Florida struggles to score. I mean, if you look, they scored 13 points against Vanderbilt. Even game against North Texas, 32. But North Texas struggles defensively. They got beat by Tennessee because they couldn't score enough. I like LSU, and I'll give up those 3 points and take LSU.
I'm not sure what the over/under is, but LSU allows 14 points a game, and Florida allows 12 points a game. I mean, that's 26 points.
Yeah, it's 41. I could see a 27-14 game. It should push. A 27-17 game would go over. We're going to struggle to see 50 points out of this game. 56% of the country likes the Gators, though. I'm siding with the 44%. And I'm going LSU -3 on the road here.
Yep. All right, I go with LSU. I think they're going to win actually easier than that. I think it could be a 10-point win for them.
Yeah, I mean, we could see a 28-17 game. And that's still right at the total. I would not be surprised either way.
Well, let's do some quick picks. We have Texas at Oklahoma. Oklahoma -10.5. Yes, I think the Sooners win.
I think so too. I mean, this is another situation. Charlie Strong could be out the door. He probably will be out the door. Both teams really disappointing, 2-2. I'll take Oklahoma 10, 11, whatever you want to give me. That's the Red River rivalry. You never know, but I'll take Oklahoma -10 at this point.
A couple of Big Ten. Maryland is a 1-point favorite at Penn State. I kind of like the Nittany Lions to win.
Yeah, I do too. Maryland's 4-0, but again, I don't know who Maryland's beat that we can really be too excited about. Penn State been a little bit disappointing, I think. I mean, that's a team that thought maybe they could compete towards the top of the Big Ten. Now, Maryland's best win was 50-7 over Purdue, but Purdue's terrible. Penn State's best win, I don't even know if they have a good win either. So I'm thinking we're looking at two middle road Big Ten teams here, but I think the home team prevails -1. I'll certainly take Penn State +1. I'll certainly take Penn State as the underdog here.
Well, speaking of mediocre teams, I'm still moving on to Purdue at Illinois. You just said Purdue is horrible. Illinois hasn't been particularly good, but Lovie Smith's a 10-point favorite.
Yeah, 10 points is surprising, but I think that shows a little testament of just how bad Purdue is. 2-2 on the season now. Illinois on the other side has not beat a BCS caliber team. Their only win came over Murray State. So it's going to be difficult to lay those 10.5 points in Champaign. It really is. So I think you've got to go with Purdue. Until Illinois shows that, at least beat a major team. Now Purdue on the other side has only beaten Eastern Kentucky and Nevada. Gotten blown out against Cincinnati, got blown out at Maryland. I think this will be close. I look for like a 30-24 type game. I'll take Purdue to cover on the road.
Yeah, I have Illinois winning by maybe 3 touchdowns.
No, you're going to take Illinois to cover. I would think probably, but until the Illini decide that they want to at least compete in a Power 5 game, I'm going to take the Boilermakers to cover.
Moving out west, we have UCLA at Arizona State. It was a 9.5, and now it's down to 7.5 for UCLA. Arizona State's 3-0 at home. The public is buying in big. ASU wins this one, or gets a pick on this one.
Yeah, I mean, they're 4-1 on the season. UCLA's 3-2, another disappointing season out of UCLA. I mean, maybe we find that program opening here before long. I mean, you would think they would have been better. They've got, Josh Rosen as their quarterback. A lot of people like him. They're just really struggling. I mean, 2 losses already. Texas A&M and Stanford, now both those teams are pretty good. They've lost to 2 pretty good programs. So I don't know. I mean, 9-10 points seems like a lot. I'm not so sure I'm sold completely. I'll go with the underdog here. I'll take the points, and I'll take UCLA to cover, but Arizona State wins this game in a competitive game.
Okay, staying out west. I fell in love last week with Washington. They play Oregon. I like Washington.
Yeah, I mean, you got to keep in mind this is not the same Oregon Duck program that we've seen before in the past either. I mean, Oregon actually is 2-3 and 0-2 in conference play. This Oregon team is going to struggle to make a bowl game. I mean, this is a big game. They've lost 3 in a row. They lost to Nebraska. They lost to Colorado. They got blown out at Washington State. They still have Stanford. They still have Utah. They still have USC on their schedule. On Washington's side, I mean, some people are saying this is the Pac-10's chance to reach the Final Four, and it is. I mean, they continue to score. They blasted Stanford last week. -9. Yeah, I mean, I think they could probably cover that. I'll take Washington. I'll join the 58% and take Washington in that one.
Yeah, I like Washington, too, on that one. I got a couple questions to finish up with. Is Clemson, after their big Louisville win last week, second best team in the country?
Well, it's them or Ohio State. I mean, and I think you could flip a coin either way, and both those teams are tremendous. Ohio State, what they're doing to opponents is just silly. They're just blasting people. Maybe. I'll go with maybe. I'll go very indecisive here. But both those, Alabama, Ohio State, Clemson, are top 3. I think Michigan's still your 4th best team. Washington and Houston come in 5, 6. But, yeah, I mean, Clemson is a top 3 team for sure.
Okay. You talked a little bit earlier, something about getting a half point. How do you buy a point?
Well, I mean, when you go to your books, whatever your favorite book is, and we have a bunch of them on our website at noobsports.com that you can sign up for. You go to your website and you're going to see a line of Illinois -13.5 or Illinois -14.5. It'd be better if they were 14.5 and you bought the point to 14, obviously, knowing that 2 touchdowns, now you've at least split. So what you would do is basically they'll have an option on there that you can buy a half point, you can buy a point. Now, that's going to take your overall winnings down. Now, let's say you want to put $20 down on the Illini at -14 and the line's 14.5. Instead of winning, $19.08, you're probably going to win something like $18. It's called the juice. They're going to take a little bit away from it. So instead of -110, it's going to fall to like minus 122, and that's going to be your winning. So you do that when you're just like a half. 14.5 is dangerous because a lot of times scores are going to finish at 14. 13.5 is dangerous because a lot of times scores are going to finish at 13. So you buy that extra point to at least push instead of lose by a half point. Losing by a half point in the betting world, that really sucks.
So that's the same way with 6.5.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, when you're, especially as an underdog, I mean, if you're a 6.5 point underdog, you certainly want to buy that point to 7 because obviously 6.5 isn't going to do much for you. I mean, if you think it's going to be around a touchdown game, you may as well just buy that point and make it 7. Now, you're not going to win as much, but if you're pretty certain your bet's going to win, you're still going to make money off it. So underdog at 6.5, you certainly want to look at buying a half point and making it 7.
So this is a strategy that bettors should be aware of.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if you're not, then you're missing out. I mean, you have to know how to buy that point. You have to know when to buy that point, or half point. I mean, half point's very likely. You could even go to a point. I mean, if it's 6 and you want to make it 7, that's fine. You have to know you're going to bet more to win the amount you want to win, or you're not going to win as much, and that's fine. I mean, keep in mind that it's a long grind of 16 football weeks, 17 football weeks. You don't have to be a millionaire right away, but you want to buy that point to make sure you win that game instead of losing by a half point.
Okay, well that's good. Hey, one last question. We went through Tennessee and Texas A&M. One of them is going to lose. How far down do they go when they lose?
Well, I mean, I don't think they'll fall out of the top 15 probably. I mean, they're top 10 teams, unless it's an absolute blowout, unless this is a Florida State, Louisville type situation. You'll remember Louisville beat Florida State by like 50. So, I mean, Texas A&M's 8, Tennessee's 9. I can't see them falling out of the top 15. I mean, really the only undefeated teams below them would be Nebraska, Baylor, and Boise State and West Virginia. So, and again, AP polls aren't based on complete undefeated teams. I mean, Ole Miss is 3-2 and they're 14th. So I don't think they'll fall out of the top 15. I mean, if you look at Texas A&M, if they lose close or Tennessee loses close, their loss is probably still better than the blowout that Stanford occurred to Washington. And I think that's what you keep in mind. So I think they would remain in the top 15 unless they just completely got blown out.
Okay, good go there. Thank you. Hey, Tell everybody where they can go for Noob Sports.
Yeah, knupsports.com. Find us on Facebook and Twitter as well. Obviously our Twitter account is just Noob Sports, knupsports.com. We're starting to compile some power rankings, some hockey previews. We'll start diving into the National Basketball Association. It's time, whether you're ready or not, whether your baseball team's playing or not, the basketball and the hockey season will start arriving soon. College basketball will start coming, so we'll start throwing some things at you. We're going to start putting some content up on our website as well, so I know a lot of people said, well, you went to a website and there's not really anything there for us to read. Well, now we'll start getting some content for you. So Noob Sports, knupsports.com.
Hey, thank you. That was Week 6 preview. This has been the Noob Sports College Football Podcast. I'm Tom, along with Rodney. We say thank you for a while.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Noob Sports Show. If you enjoyed this podcast, please consider subscribing to our iTunes channel today. Plus, visit us at noobsports.com for more picks, previews, strategy, and news. That's knupsports.com.